The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares are trading higher ahead of key earnings reports from major tech companies, even as market jitters persist over the uncertain future of U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Speculation swirled after reports claimed U.S. President Donald Trump was considering firing Powell. While Trump denied the reports, he left the possibility open, once again criticizing the Federal Reserve chief for not cutting interest rates. All shares are currently in the green, with Australia's ASX rising the most at 0.8%. In the currency markets, the US dollar appreciates against the Japanese yen, the Singapore dollar, the South Korean won, and Thai baht. It is flat against the Hong Kong dollar, while the Australian dollar depreciates against the greenback. In commodities, gold prices are down by 0.4%, while oil markets are mixed. In the cryptocurrency space, both Bitcoin and Ethereum also down. The Department of Finance calls as fake news online claims that there will be new taxes on interest rates earned from bank deposits. It asserts the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act, or CMEPA, does not impose a new tax, but it standardizes the tax rate on interest income to correct an unfair system that favored the wealthy. Before, the deposits that benefited from favorable rates are those with a maturity period of more than 5 years, since these are tax exempt. Meanwhile, deposits that mature in 4 to 5 years and 3 to 4 years are subject to just 5% and 12% tax, respectively. This special tax treatment favored depositors who can afford to park their savings in long-term deposits, making the tax system unfair for short-term depositors. The CMEPA, it says, merely corrects this outdated system. The Bangko Sentral remains committed to deepening financial inclusion. This effort aims to onboard more Filipinos into the formal financial system. The BSP made this statement following a World Bank report showing that 5.2% of Filipinos aged 15 and above had accounts in banks or other microfinance institutions this year. This is slightly lower than the 51.4% reported in 2021. The central bank acknowledges persistent challenges like connectivity gaps and low financial literacy. However, it also notes progress from 2021 to 2024, including increased use of mobile money accounts, formal savings, and improved financial resilience. The leadership vacuum at the Energy Regulatory Commission has been filled as President Bongbong Marcos taps lawyer Francis Nino Juan to lead the ERC. Juan previously served as the agency's executive director and general counsel. He will formally assume the post on August 1st, following the resignation of Mona Lisa de Malanta. He currently heads the Independent Electricity Market Operator of the Philippines and has been instrumental in launching the wholesale electricity spot market. The president has also appointed 2 new ERC commissioners, lawyers Amante Liberato and Paris Real. Liberato is currently the Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration at the Office of the President. Real has been recognized for his work in promoting consumer rights and enhancing regulatory transparency. Philippine negotiators may only be able to lower the U.S. tariffs on our exports back to the initial 17% rate at best. This is according to Trade Justice Filipinas co-convener Joseph Puruganan. Speaking to BNC's Business 360, he said he does not see a scenario where the tariffs reach zero. Many fear that in the bid to reduce these rates, the government may compromise on protections for crucial sectors like agriculture. This situation also exposes the deeper flaws of our export-dependent economic model. He calls for a re-evaluation of the country's trade and development approach.
It's not a simple trade issue, nor is it an economic dispute. On one level, it's one powerful state bullying a smaller, less powerful one. But more than that, it is indicative of a much deeper problem, as I said, hounding our global trading system and exposing the deep flaws of an export-dependent development strategy that leaves our economy at the mercy of global markets and the political whims of leaders like. We must wean ourselves of overdependence on exports and build stronger foundations in our domestic economy.
The Philippines is facing a growing crisis in its fisheries sector. This is the urgent warning from the ocean conservation group Oceana, as production of commonly consumed fish continues to decline sharply. Oceana says that if this trend is not reversed, it could threaten the country's food security. Municipal fisheries production dropped to over 802,000 metric tons last year, down from more than 879,000 in 2023. That's the lowest level since 2002. Health Secretary Ted Herbosa supports proposals to ban or strictly regulate online gambling. He emphasizes that addiction to online gambling is a mental health issue. Herbosa warns that gambling can be habit-forming and can negatively affect behavior. Senator Mig Zubiri previously filed a bill to ban online gambling, calling it a silent epidemic harming Filipinos, especially minors and vulnerable groups. We're taking a short break. More business stories are coming up next. You're watching Business Week. Land is optimistic about the future of retail and shopping in the Philippines, investing nearly 20 billion pesos to redevelop its malls and modernize key shopping spaces. Sujin Kim has more. Go ahead, Sujin.
Yes, Mai, Ayala Land is pouring 17.5 billion pesos into the redevelopment of its flagship retail spaces. 13 billion pesos is already being spent to renovate 4 iconic malls, Glorieta, Greenbelt, Chinoma, and Ayala Center, Cebu. On top of that, another 4.5 billion pesos has been committed to revamp core malls in Abriza, Cloverleaf, Marquee, and Fairview Terraces, with major rollouts set from 2025 to 2028. Even amid construction, the company is already seeing gains. Ayala Land posted a 4% increase in mall revenues in Q1 2025 to 5.7 billion pesos, boosted by strong occupancy and high releasable spaces in One Ayala and other key locations. Flagship and premium malls grew 14% quarter-on-quarter, driving an 11% overall uplift nationwide. Ayala Land SVP Mariana Zabel de Ayala says this comes as the Philippine retail sector continues to benefit from robust consumer spending and upticks in gross national income.
We remain very optimistic about the future of retail and shopping in the Philippines, as we observe strong consumer fundamentals and a steadily growing and evolving middle class that continues to drive demand.
Inflation averaged just 1.8% in the first half of 2025, lower than the BSP's expectation of 2 to 4%. Ayala Mall COO Paul Burkett says these upgrades are not just physical overhauls, but strategic transformations, introducing global flagships, expanded dining districts, nightlife zones, tech-integrated spaces, and even family-themed play areas. Zabel de Ayala says the mall's reinvention is designed to keep pace with rapidly shifting lifestyles, ensuring their spaces remain relevant for years to come. Ayala Land's redevelopment spree marks its most aggressive retail modernization yet. More than just a facelift, these investments reflect a deeper bet that the Philippine retail market is ripe for long-term growth. And those are latest updates from Makati City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Sujin Kim. Operatives of the Surigao del Norte Maritime Police seized smuggled cigarettes worth nearly 5 million pesos at the Lipata Ferry Terminal on Tuesday. 2 individuals were caught transporting the cigarettes on a truck without proper documentation. The truck came from General Santos City and was bound for Cavite. The suspects face charges for violating the customs and tobacco warning law. Senator Jinggoy Estrada warns employers who fail to comply with a 50 peso minimum wage hike in Metro Manila will be sanctioned. These include a 25,000 peso fine and jail time of up to 2 years. Estrada is also refiling his bill, amending Republic Act 6727 or the Wage Rationalization Act, which will strengthen the implementation of wage laws. The wage hike will take effect on July 18. Bilyonaryo Lucio Co is expanding his footprint in the alcohol industry, acquiring a 50% stake in Filipino liquor maker Servia Global Trading for 40 million pesos. The one-time cash deal gives his company Keepers Holdings a strategic entry into the fast-growing premium spirits segment. Servia is best known for Sula, a line of liquors made with Philippine fruits and herbs, now gaining traction locally and abroad. For Co, it's a chance to back a homegrown brand while expanding his beverage portfolio, already anchored by leading imports like Johnny Walker and Chivas. We're taking another short break. A look at how Philippine stocks did today. Coming up next, you're watching Business Brief. The U.S. is building another wall along its border with Mexico. The 11-kilometer secondary barrier will reinforce the steel mesh fence in the desert of southern New Mexico. Back in June, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem issued 3 new waivers for border wall construction. These projects aim to close the critical gaps in the border wall and enhance border security operations. A controversial new app in the U.S. is letting users report immigration enforcement activity in real time, raising questions about digital activism, law enforcement, and the rights of migrants, including Filipinos. Called ICE Block, the app allows users to flag sightings of U.S. immigration and enforcement or customs enforcement or ICE so others can avoid them. Developer Joshua Aaron says he built the platform to push back against what he calls an aggressive crackdown on migrant communities. The app has already been downloaded over 800,000 times since launching earlier this year. But immigration officials warn it could compromise operations and endanger officers in the field.
This is not to show up and fight officers, or this is not to get in the way of what's going on. We don't want our users to be violent. We don't want our users to get themselves into legal trouble or criminal charges. None of that is part of what this app stands for. This app is about alerting people so that they can avoid the situations in the first place, keeping themselves and their families and communities safer.
The Philippines is one of the largest sources of migrant workers in the U.S., and developments like this highlight the growing role of tech in immigration and law enforcement policy. South Korea's top court upheld on Thursday a not guilty verdict for Samsung chairman Jay Lee. This verdict permanently removes a long-running legal distraction for Lee as the tech giant tries to catch up in a global race to develop cutting-edge AI chips. The Supreme Court decision is in connection with a case involving the merger a decade ago between 2 Samsung affiliates, Samsung C&T and Cheil Industries. Prosecutors allege it was designed to cement Lee's control of the tech giant. A 54-pound meteorite from Mars sells for $5.3 million at Sotheby's, marking a record-breaking moment in the growing market for space-related assets and discovery. The Martian rock, the largest known piece of Mars on Earth, drew thousands during its pre-sale exhibition and sparked a 15-minute bidding war before the final hammer fell. was discovered in 2023 by a meteorite hunter in Niger and now stands as a symbol of growing global fascination with space, science, and what's possible beyond our planet.
This is an amazing Martian meteorite that broke off of the Martian surface. There was some sort of massive asteroid strike, and we know there have only been 19 asteroid strikes big enough to eject a piece like this off of the surface of the planet. So it comes hurtling through space, 140 million miles through space, makes it through Earth's atmosphere. And something to note, most things burn up when they're coming through the Earth's atmosphere. The spacecrafts, the Apollo astronauts had to have a massive heat shield on the bottom of those spacecraft. So it's incredible that it made it through, and then that it crashed in the middle of the desert instead of the middle of the ocean in a place where we could find it, and that somebody who could recognize what it was found it. So there's a whole kind of process or a layer of things that have to happen in order for this to become reality and be here in front of us.
For the Philippines and other emerging markets, it's a reminder that the future economy will reward not just industrial production, but curiosity, exploration, and the ability to turn discovery into value. Philippine shares remain in the red for the third straight day as the local bourse falls back into the 6,200 level. The PSE index ended lower by 0.6% to close at 62.95, finishing the day as the worst performer in Asia. All the sectoral indices ended in the red, with mining and oil falling the most at more than 2%. Decliners outpaced advancers at 112 to 75. Total value turnover reached 7.3 billion pesos. Majority of the day's most active stocks ended in the red, with DigiPlus falling the most at nearly 30%. Meanwhile, the foreign exchange market, the peso, is currently trading at 57.07 against the greenback, appreciating from the previous close of 57.09. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.